What's up, comic book fans, and welcome to Comics Icons. Now, JJ, what they call me, and today we got more Ultimate Universe with issue number 3 of Jonathan Hickman's Ultimate Spider-Man. And if you haven't fully caught up with this new retelling of the new Ultimate Universe of Spider-Man, and believe me, you need to be, because it's been fire so far. But I'm going to place a card at the top of the screen so you can catch the first 3 videos. And I'll place a link at the end of the video too. But for everybody else, if you remember, it was the last issue where little May Parker learned that her dad was the new black suit hero. But she had suggested that he change his look because it was quite scary. And not only that, but Spider-Man's nighttime efforts are starting to get noticed. So if you guys are ready to finally see his official suit debut and find out if he's gotten any better at this new superhero thing, then you guys know what time it is. Let's get it. So when this issue picks up, it's now March. And this series so far has been consistent with a month in between each issue. Issue 1 was in January, issue 2 was in February, and now issue 3 is in March. So I like its consistency so far with the timeline. And I believe it was in 6 months that Tony Stark told him that he reemerged. So that'll be interesting to follow along with that. But like I said, it's now March and MJ and Richard are now heading out. But they notice that something's up with Peter and Lil May. They're acting funny and they refuse to make eye contact. But of course, Peter deflects by making a joke at MJ and Richard about them acting funny and deflecting. But MJ and Richard are off to go find Richard some shoes. So daddy-daughter time is going to last about an hour. But this is music to Peter and May's ears because as soon as mom and bro are gone, daddy-daughter time is spent on the roof trying out different costume looks. And again, this is just another reminder of how new and different this world is as Peter's just goofing off with his daughter while trying on different Spider-Man looks. I think it's just the purity of moments like this that makes this Spider-Man a lot more relatable. But after going through a few different color schemes, they finally decide on the classic red and blue that we've all gotten used to. It's just that we've got a different origin for it now in this world. But then we check in on J. Jonah and Uncle Ben, who still don't yet have a name, but they do at least now have a new office, albeit a bit of a dump. But hey, gotta take what the budget will allow, right? At least now they've got their own office. But these guys then get a visitor that comes in bearing gifts and jokes, as Peter stops by and brings them a plant for the office from MJ that makes it look like a whole new dump, Peter tells them. Then Peter suggests that they use the remainder of the budget to get this place fixed up. But then he notices something that catches his eye as he looks towards the map that's hanging on the wall. And initially, Jonah and Ben are reluctant to disclose any information about what it is to Peter, since he works for the competition and all now. But after Peter agrees to a little quid pro quo situation, they agree to show him what they found if he tells them about what the Bugle knows about the green suit guy. So Peter lets them know that Robbie has actually been calling the guy the Green Goblin. He thinks that there's a story there, but the higher-ups keep shutting it down. And instead, they're pushing stories about the guy in the black suit. So they show Peter a closer look at the board, and each one of the pins on the board is a location that the Goblin has hit, and they're all owned by Fisk. So now the thing they've still got to figure out is if Fisk and the Goblin is a good guy, bad guy situation, or a bad guy thing, or what. They don't want to jump to any conclusions, but they've got to find out more. Then we pick up with Pete later on in full Spider-Man gear as he's decided to stake out at one of Fisk's properties and suspected target of the Green Goblin. And after staking out for about 2 days with no action, he decides that this is a bad idea. And I wonder if he went home at all during these 2 days, because if not, how does he explain that to his family? And if he did go home, then that's not exactly a 2-day stakeout, at least not a full one. But hey, I digress, because it doesn't really matter. But he decides that he's done with all this. He's an idiot, Ben's an idiot, and Jonah's an idiot. And just as he gets ready to go home, he sees some action. Green Goblin engaged in a rooftop battle with who we know to be Bullseye, although he's not yet been officially introduced. But apparently Bullseye was a part of a trap for the Green Goblin that he never saw coming. And Bullseye quickly proves that there's levels to this, as he has an answer for everything Goblin throws at him, and he's able to disable Goblin's tech with perfect accuracy. And he also acknowledges to Goblin that he's not there under the employ of Fisk. Fisk is just a puppet. I work for the real masters of the world, and it's them who's paid Bullseye to take out the Green Goblin. But monologue, plan foiled, as Spider-Man shows up and webs Bullseye's hand, preventing the final blow to Goblin. I'll tell y'all about those monologues. But Bullseye is happy to see Spidey, as he now gets to eliminate two problems at once, and then he can get up out of there, because he absolutely hates it here. So he flings a few of his bladed playing cards towards Spidey, who easily dodges them and gloats about the miss. But the problem is, Bullseye wasn't aiming at Spidey, as then the giant crane behind Spider-Man begins to crumble and comes crashing down on the new hero. And as Bullseye goes to check to see if Spider-Man survives that, he's then zapped in the back by Green Goblin, who still appears to have a little bit of fight left in him. But Bullseye has Goblin's number, and he flings more cards at Goblin, fully disabling his tech, and then he begins to stalk Green Goblin. And he tells Goblin to make his peace, but this time it's Goblin who gets the last laugh, as now it's Bullseye who didn't realize he was walking into a trap, and Spider-Man jumps in out of nowhere and clocks Bullseye, knocking him out cold. And then the Goblin thanks Spider-Man for the assistance. He never thought that he needed, but he certainly did. And what's funny is that Spider-Man has never caught any bad guys yet up until this point, so he has absolutely no idea of what to do now. He's like, should I call the police or something? But as Goblin starts to lock a device on Bullseye, cuffing his hands behind his back, he tells Spider-Man that Fisk owns a large part of the police, and as far as he could tell, this guy is even more connected than Fisk, so calling the police likely won't help. But Goblin has a place for guys like this, and he has his glider send Bullseye on and kind of hints that he does this all the time. So now I'm kind of wondering, does the Green Goblin have his own prison? And who has he caught so far? But then Goblin starts to comment on Spider-Man's suit. He calls it interesting and tells Spidey that he bets some people thinks it's very cool. And Spidey's like, that's because it is cool. But Goblin's like, be that as it may. Instead of cool, others might call it something else. Proprietary, as Goblin then activates a button on his suit that appears to connect to Spider-Man's suit, and it deactivates it, removing the mask right off of Spider-Man's face. That man's got some cold-blooded tech right there. But then the Goblin removes his own helmet as well, and he introduces himself. Hi, I'm Harry. Peter replies. Well, Peter, says Harry, I don't know if you've noticed or not, but the world is a strange place these days. Yeah, I'm starting to notice that, Peter replies. And then they stare at each other for a second. And then Harry leans in and says, so you want to get a drink? Maybe talk about it? And Peter accepts the invite. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is the end of the issue. So we got not only the new origin of the Spider-Man costume in this issue, but we've also got the new origin of Peter and Harry's friendship. And Harry's finally one of the first people to learn Peter's identity. He's not getting strung along this time. But what did you guys think about this issue? And how about this series and New Universe as a whole so far? I think Jonathan Hickman has done a great job so far in setting up the differences in this new world while still giving you new reasons to fall back in love with the character. With the original Spider-Man starting off as a kid to this new Spider-Man starting off with his kid along for the ride. And this time he and Harry become friends over trauma now. This series has got me anxiously awaiting for the next issue each time. And I hope that after the 6 months when Stark is supposed to come back, that this series will continue beyond that. I'm definitely having a great time with it, and I want to see how far they can take this Ultimate Universe. But how you guys liking Hickman's new Spider-Man as a character? Make sure to comment and let me know. But as always, if you guys enjoyed this video and this channel, and you'd like to support the channel, then you could do so by joining the Iconic Fan Club channel membership. And there'll be a link in the description to join, but with your membership, you'll gain access to weekly interactive live streams with yours truly, where we could talk about everything that's been going down in these issues, as well as ones that you'd like for me to go over in the future, and other comic book news. Plus, you guys will get loyalty badges, member shout outs, and more in these videos. Or you guys can donate to the channel with a super thanks. And if you're not able to do that, then you can also still be a huge help to this channel's future by dropping a like, share, and subscribing to Comics Icons for more icons in the comic book world. But ladies and gentlemen, it's about that time. I'm out. Peace.